Alrighty guys, in today's video we're going to be looking at selecting parts within your 3D view space and how does that work. But before that, let's have a quick intro first. So today's video can be found on softwaretraining.co.za, and we make short and easy to watch problem solving videos, and we also have daily updates. Otherwise, we head back into the program here. Now, in order to select parts, this is pretty simple. By now, you might have gotten most of it right. There's a few little tricks you can use to speed up your workflow. But yeah, we're going to be looking at today. Also, something to keep in mind, this does not unfortunately work as like a industry standard, you can say, where certain things do certain things like you used to. So you might have to get the hang of that first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say nest here, nest the parts we've got. Or maybe, yeah, let's just leave it right like that. I'm going to say accept and add our parts. Now, by default, if you're used to using other programs, you'll probably select something and then you'll either keep Control or Shift to select the next ones if you want to select multiple things. Now, in this program, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So you can see if I leave my Control and Shift, I click another shape, it keeps on selecting. So what it comes down to is it carries on as if you're already keeping Control in. So it will select all the relevant ones you've clicked on without having to use any extra keys, which can be a little bit frustrating because let's say I did the selection of the blue ones and then I accidentally hit the red one, and now I want to undo that one. So I can't just keep controlling and deselect it. I have to unfortunately reset my entire selection, and then in order to select the blue one. So how you can do that is you just select there on the right with your left mouse button, then it will undo that. The undo a button unfortunately does not work with selections. So where some programs allow you to undo selections, but that is quite rare. So that is the one thing we have to keep in mind when using selections, that yeah, it will it automatically use Control. So what I get sometimes, which can be frustrating, is let's say I'm moving these things, then select I want to move the next one out of habit, and then it still has the other one selected, as you can see over there. So get in a habit of just when you're done, deselect, move, deselect, move. It's a little bit backwards, but you know, eventually you grow used to it. Now to deselect, there's another option we can use. You can simply just right click anywhere, which is convenient. It's something getting used to, but I prefer that over left clicking somewhere, because left clicking you have to be specific to hit the cutting plane, because if I left click on these or these, it selects them or it just does nothing. So you have to select the open space, left click, where if I right click, I can right click on any of these and then it will reset it. And that leaves us with our last option, which is the box select. So if you use your mouse, you left click somewhere and you drag a box over something, it will select everything within that box. It's very handy if you want to move bulk shapes. You just left click and drag. Now, something to keep in mind with this, as it varies from some other programs. I've worked with some programs where the box has to be over all the shapes in order for it to work, where in this case, it simply just needs to touch other shapes. So if let's say I want to select these three, I make sure it covers their borders, but if I just touch here on the red, you'll see it selects all of them. So that is something to keep in mind, so you don't have to select over everything, and it makes it very convenient for selecting shapes like these, because imagine now I have to select over everything, then yeah, it gets a bit confusing because now we over other shapes into other shapes, where if I just make a little selection like that, I've got all of them down. So that is something to keep in mind, but keep in mind with the selection box like you just saw there, if I try make a selection box by left clicking and dragging, but I'm on a shape, it's going to move that shape. So yeah, otherwise that is it on most of the selection. So just a quick recap, keep in mind that when selecting shapes, you don't have to keep Control, it does it automatically. And to deselect, you can either click somewhere on the canvas where it's open, or the steel plate or whatever you've got, or just right click and then redo it. Then another thing is, if you have a shape selected there and there, keep in mind that it's a habit that happens, and then just make sure you deselect and select the right shape, otherwise you won't be able to move it or necessarily move it without moving the other one. And then last little recap is just the box select. And simply left click with your mouse, keep it in and drag over shapes to make a selection of all the shapes within that box. But yeah, otherwise that is it on the video on selection. If we head here to softwaretraining.co.za, you guys will notice we've got a variety of different softwares we do cover, and you can also isolate your search on the top right. If you do not, however, find the training videos you're looking for, just simply go here, request a training video, fill in the mini form, and then we'll do our best to try and make that for you. But otherwise, thanks guys for watching, and cheers.